Well, let's shift gears into Senate Bill 1157. Mark, would you mind setting the stage for us, what it is and why it matters? And then we'll open up some good dialogue around what's happening in the state of California.
Sure. And well, I'll play lawyer for this, but I wasn't involved in drafting it or pushing it. Some of those smart people are on this call, so might have some insight. Basically, it's mandating that affordable properties in my fine state of California offer this program to their tenants. We can get into the details, but basically, if you have an affordable property and that's well defined, it doesn't include things like Section 8 voucher programs. But if you have an affordable property, tax credit or otherwise, then as of this year, you have to have a mechanism in place to offer your tenants an ability to sign up for a Rent Plus type program. It's there's some additional requirements about when you have to notify them initially and then once a year thereafter. But the very high level is at affordable properties in California, it's mandatory to offer your tenants this type of Rent Plus program.
We got where we got over the course of about 6 or 7, maybe 8 months total, with more general support across the board than I think I anticipated. And within the legislature itself, it was a bipartisan, it was approved or was, voted out of committee and approved in a bipartisan way. So that was very, encouraging. We just wanted to make sure a couple of things. One, that the cost wasn't exorbitant. Two, that, knowing what we know in the market, although of course the market, continuously changes and evolves, that the amount that we landed on, which was, no more than $10 a month, seemed reasonable, or the actual cost, whichever is less. From the perspective of the consumer advocates, we wanted to make sure that residents were charged any fee, that there wouldn't be any negative consequence if they didn't pay the fee with regard to the reporting of the rental payment itself. So it could be ultimately that the landlord can unenroll them or disenroll them if they don't pay the fee, and the fee itself can't be reported to the credit bureaus.
This feels like a huge deal for multifamily. And if the state of California is going all in on this for their affordable portfolios, are other states going to follow? And you may not even be able to share, but I'm curious what you're hearing as you're advocating across the nation, because I can only assume that if the state of California is jumping in, that we're going to see some more movement over the coming years.
Yeah, it's a great question, and we have seen an uptick in interest, and we have had groups reaching out to us who are interested in different states. We do expect to see, with California being sort of this first in the nation to do this kind of mandated rent reporting, we do expect to see more states be interested.
I think it's fair to say when California passes something, especially when it's pro-tenant and pro-consumer, that it is going to follow. There are going to be states. Saw that a couple years ago with mandatory Energy Star filing. We've seen it going back 50 years. So there's no doubt in my mind, especially this being such a pro-consumer bill. And Talia mentioned it was bipartisan, which in my state of California, if anything's bipartisan, it's like the seas parted and there's some minor miracle. So that means it was a popular bill on both sides of the aisle. So we're going to see it spread.